Hello, and welcome to the 6th International Fecal Sludge Management Conference, and thank you for joining us for our first ever virtual conference. 2 years ago, when we were together in Cape Town and announced the 2021 dates for FSM6, we never imagined we would be facing a global pandemic.
Since the beginning of 2020, we have all faced challenges and a disruption in how we go about our daily lives. We hope that you and your families have stayed healthy and safe. It has been a difficult time for many of us in our communities, but it has also provided opportunities for innovation and growth, particularly in the area of global health. Our sector has also continued to adapt and innovate.
The FSM6 virtual conference is a great example. We were so looking forward to gathering together in Jakarta to build on the successes of the previous FSM conferences. But as we all now understand, hosting an in-person conference was not possible. The health and safety for all people remains central to FSMA's mission, and that includes you.
The FSM6 Conference Committee and FSMA staff remained committed to providing a forum for us to convene and continue to advance the critical work for providing accessible and safe sanitation for all people worldwide. They have worked diligently to provide an innovative and engaging program and thoughtful about the kind of programming of the most interest to this community.
And to deliver to you on a platform where you, our global audience, can curate your own experience. We have done our best to strike the right balance between content that you can enjoy on demand and live sessions in which you can actively participate.
We encourage you to set up your FSM6 attendee profile and network with your peers. Leave your questions and comments on the session pages and engage directly with our presenters in one of the live discussion forums.
We have an exciting and very full program this week. There is a lot of content that will become available over the next few days. If you don't have time to watch a session today, watch it at your leisure. If you don't manage to view everything you want before the conference closes, no worries. As a registered attendee, you can return to revisit any of the recorded sessions until 31 August of this year.
Each conference day will begin with a programmatic plenary session. The theme for FSM6 is Celebrating 10 Years, FSM Heroes, Past, Present, and Future. In the plenary session, you will hear from the individuals who are really evolving the way we approach fecal sludge management.
Each day, we will be presenting 4 themed track sessions on the topic of gender, equality, and inclusive sanitation service levels, service delivery for low-income communities, the role of sanitation in FSM actors, and a country case study focused on Indonesia.
Check the agenda page for a schedule of live discussion forums and the FSMA Spotlight series, which cover a wide range of topics and are hosted by various partner organizations. There is also a full schedule of sector-hosted live sessions.
And don't forget to check out the virtual expo to keep up with the latest developments in the sector and meet the innovators. If research is your thing, spend some time perusing the poster gallery.
We know that some people like to have fun, and some of you may be just a little bit competitive. For you, we have just the thing. You can compete to become the ultimate FSM mastermind by answering the quiz questions we release each day. Follow the leaderboard to see how you rate against your friends and colleagues. We will announce the FSM Mastermind champion at the closing ceremony.
And lastly, cast your vote for the best World Emptying Challenge team by clicking like on that team's video. The team with the most likes at the close of voting will be declared the winner.
Now that's a lot of information we've covered in just a few minutes. Now on with the program. Up next, you will hear from our Indonesian co-host, the Honorable Anies Baswedan, Governor of DKI Jakarta and Director General of Human Settlements with the Ministry of Public Works and Housing. Diana Kusumastuti. To round out this session, Konstantina Valkushanova, the FSM conference chair, will preview a compilation of your FSM heroes.
But before that, we'll hear a few remarks from the Executive Director of the Fecal Sludge Management Alliance. It is our sincere pleasure to introduce Jennifer Williams.
Hello, good morning and good evening. Welcome to the 6th International Fecal Sludge Management Virtual Conference. Firstly, I would like to thank our co-host, the Province of Jakarta, and the Governor, His Honorable Dr. Anies Baswedan, and on behalf of the Ministry of Public Works and Housing, Ms. Diana Kutsamatstuti, Director General of Human Settlements Development, for their opening remarks. We would also like to thank our other Indonesian partners, the Ministry of the National Planning Agency and PD Paljaya, for supporting this event. Thank you also to our supporting partners, sponsors, and speakers, IUWASH Plus USAID, the Global Sanitation Graduate School, all of the abstract presenters and session conveners. The content you are about to experience is all due to their contributions. And finally, a special thanks to all of you for joining this virtually. Thank you for your commitment to the conference, to FSM, and to SDG 6.2. We all wish we could have been in Jakarta in person, no one more than the FSM Alliance and the conference committee. However, we have worked hard to create an innovative virtual event format that allowed for more speakers from more places, while also maximizing a global audience and creating an event schedule that is flexible and interactive for all attendees, no matter what time zone you're in. The theme of this year's conference is celebrating 10 years of FSM heroes, past, present, and future. In this year's plenary series, we explore how we started, what we should keep doing, and most importantly, how do we need to evolve as a sector? It has been 10 years since the first FSM conference, and we are now just short of 10 years until 2030. This seemed like a natural reflection point to try and answer some of these questions. We start with our origins, that first FSM conference. We brought back together some of the key individuals who helped shape and create what you know as FSM today. They have been instrumental in directing the vision and the trajectory of FSM. Without their vision and desire to change the sanitation landscape, the FSM Conference and the FSM Alliance would not exist. But we have 9.5 years to meet SDG 6.2. I'm going to repeat this, 9.5 years. That's barely any time. We talk about how we will meet these targets all the time at every conference, but what real progress have we made? I'm here to tell you one thing today. We need to change how we're working. If we have learned anything in 2020, it is that the status quo way of working hasn't helped nearly as many people as we had hoped. There is a saying that the definition of insanity is doing the same actions over and over again, hoping for a different outcome. If we truly think that continuing to work the way we have been will help us meet SDG 6.2, we're crazy, because it hasn't, and it won't. We failed miserably with the MDGs, and then we set even higher targets for the SDGs. I am a social scientist by nature and training, and while I've learned more about dewatering and pit emptying than I ever thought I would, my lens is always looking at the underlying societal, cultural, and institutional factors that contribute to the problems we're trying to solve. In some ways, the pandemic gave me a lot of time to sit and think about these issues more deeply. But it also underscored the deep inequity most communities still experience and were only exacerbated by the pandemic. How do people wash their hands if there's no water? How do people socially distance in a crowded urban slum? How do masks and hand sanitizer reach underserved communities when there were shortages in rich communities? And then the murder of George Floyd happened in the US, and I saw the ripple of protests around the world. And it really clued me in. A movement is growing, especially in the younger generation. They are not interested in perpetuating inequality or the inherent racism our modern world has been built on. They have zero tolerance, and they're ready for change. It was through this reflection that I realized that international development also needed a reckoning, and that includes the sanitation sector. The international development community has failed to recognize racism as a global issue and how it impacts meeting the SDGs. How does the current approach to development perpetuate inequality and outdated power dynamics? Despite the strides we've made to incorporate user-centered design principles into our projects, they are still projects, implemented by NGOs with a start and an end date for funding, not sustainable companies providing services to consumers. How do you create something sustainable from something that has an end date? Until we recognize and treat low-income communities as consumers and not as beneficiaries, we will never solve the sanitation problem. Consumers have preferences that dictate their purchases, and in every other market, this is what drives innovation to create better products. That's how we improve adoption and usage. Consumers have to want and aspire to have what the sanitation sector is providing, and in turn, the sanitation sector needs to be providing products and services with consumer preferences taken into account at their core. We also need to have more honest, uncomfortable discussions around the deeply rooted gender inequity, both conscious and unconscious, within sanitation as a whole, including amongst our own colleagues and our own organizations. I have spoken to many of our female colleagues about the frustrations they feel within the sector, not being listened to, lack of promotions, continually losing out on contracts to older males, and no clear path for career advancement. Some of them are considering leaving the sector, and some are even being advised to leave. We cannot afford to lose any more capacity in sanitation, especially over something that is in our control. We will never have inclusive service delivery if we continue to leave out half of the world's population. And we need to start by modeling the change we want to see within our own organizations and through our own actions, how we speak to our colleagues, our behavior in meetings, who we hire, and how we promote. Lastly, we need more diversity of voices and representation. A lot more of us need to do a lot less talking and a lot more listening. For this year's conference, we have worked hard to bring regional and gender diversity in all of our plenary and abstract sessions. In our final plenary of the conference, we turn to stakeholders who are often not invited to speak. We selected 7 dynamic individuals working in FSM to share with us their vision for how the sanitation sector can evolve to achieve inclusive service delivery. They range from PhD students to a manual emptier, employees at a fecal sludge treatment plant, and a reuse expert providing technical assistance to utilities. The interviewees come from around the globe: Southeast and South Asia, East and West Africa, Europe and North America, each of them bringing a unique perspective and background. Sanitation is not just a technical problem, yet we have often overlooked the institutional and societal factors that have prevented us from making the progress we'd like to see. The plenary topics this year aim to bring a myriad of voices and perspectives to bear on the challenges we face in sanitation. We want to encourage this type of diversity and inclusion, and we will work toward creating a safe place for this type of conversation moving forward. I invite you now to sit back and enjoy the 3 days of the diverse voices we have brought together in this program and unique format. However, we also recognize how hard it is to join a virtual event while still working at home. I'm asking all of you to bring a little bit more of that in-person conference attendee spirit to how you participate in this event, because we have worked hard to make it as engaging and flexible for you as an attendee. Lastly, I want to thank all of the staff of the FSM Alliance, our production and execution team, our FSM6 conference committee, and our board of directors. Without their work, this event wouldn't have been possible. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. FSMA directors, honorable speakers, responders, and all participants. Welcome to the 6th International Fecal Sludge Management Conference. We are honored to be the co-host of this year's conference and to hold an offline conference on the Indonesian track. Sanitation is indeed a very important factor for the improvement of our quality of life. Sanitation revolutions triggered by the inventions of toilet had been responsible for saving millions of lives and improving health of humankind during the past 200 years. No other innovations has done more. So important is sanitation to our quality of life that even Gandhi once said, sanitation is more important than independence. But sanitation revolution has not gone far enough. We still live in a world where so many of our fellow human beings are living with no or inadequate sanitations. Unlike global health or education, sanitation has not had the same kind of championship. Truth to be told, even in Jakarta, the largest megacity in the Southern Hemisphere, a capital city of a G20 country, sanitation access for everyone is still a huge problem. Up to 2020, the total coverage surface of wastewater management in Jakarta has received only 23%, with 13.5% is covered by off-site system and 9.5% is covered by on-site system. So our sewer pipeline is only in zone 0 currently. And there are 15 sewerage zones in Jakarta. So we have put sanitation as one of our top priorities. And we're committed to increase the coverage up to 65% by the end of 2022 through the expansions and utilizations of the off-site system. We are now in the process of implementing the Jakarta Sewerage System Development Project, which will start from 5 zones. PD Paljaya, which is one of our regionally owned enterprise, is currently developing a sewer pipeline in the existing Zone 0 through the development of the Krukut WWTP with the moving bed biofilm reactor technology. We also face several challenges in improving sanitation access through the off-site system. These challenges include the time it will take to build the system, the limited land availability within relatively complex area. That's among many other challenges. That's why we're also taking alternative path to improving sanitation access, which is through on-site system, specifically the fecal sludge management. Since 2016, fecal sludge management operation had been transferred to PD Paljaya, and they have been working hard to expand Jakarta sanitation access. Working on this issue is not just about building the hard infrastructure, but it's also about fighting for social justice, minimizing the gap of inequality. So we will never solve poverty without solving water problems, without fixing sanitation issue. And above all, providing access to quality sanitation to all citizens also means allowing everyone to live with human dignity, where they're being valued, they're being respected, because we believe that water and sanitation are basic human rights, and those who are fighting and working hard to provide their fellow human beings with their basic human rights are called heroes. You are our heroes. Again, thank you for the honor to co-hosting this conference. We hope it will be a productive, will be enjoyable, and even a life-saving and life-changing conference. Happy conference, warmest regard from all of us here in Jakarta. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yang saya hormati Gubernur DKI Jakarta Bapak Anies Baswedan, serta Bapak Ibu peserta The 6th International Fecal Sludge Management Virtual Conference FS6. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam sejahtera untuk kita semuanya. Pertama, izinkan saya mengajak kita semuanya untuk memanjatkan puji dan syukur kepada Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan yang Maha Esa, karena atas rahmat dan karunia-Nya, maka kita dapat menyelenggarakan dan berpartisipasi pada the 6th International Vehicle Slots Management Conference yang berlangsung selama 2 hari ini. Merupakan suatu kehormatan bagi pemerintah Indonesia untuk dapat menjadi tuan rumah dalam penyelenggaraan the 6th International Vehicle Management Virtual Conference. Namun, karena situasi pandemi COVID-19 yang menyebabkan pembatasan kegiatan dan juga perjalanan dari seluruh negara, maka pelaksanaan ini secara langsung dengan tatap muka tidak dimungkinkan, sehingga kita menyelenggarakan FS6 ini dengan secara online. Kami mengucapkan terima kasih atas kepercayaan kepada Indonesia untuk menjadi co-host dalam acara FS6 ini. Dan tentunya kami berterima kasih telah diberikan kesempatan untuk menyelenggarakan track khusus Indonesia sebagai bagian dari FS6 ini. Bapak Ibu, hadirin sekalian yang saya hormati, Vehicle Slots Management atau pengelolaan lumpur tinja ini merupakan bagian yang penting dari pengelolaan air limbah domestik bagi negara-negara yang masih bertumpu pada penggunaan sistem pengelolaan air limbah setempat atau sering kita sebut dengan on-site system. Seperti yang telah kita ketahui bersama bahwa kita memiliki target yang sama untuk mencapai tujuan Sustainable Development Goals yang ke-6 ya, poin 2 2030, yaitu akses terhadap sanitasi dan higien yang layak dan juga merata bagi semua, serta untuk menghentikan praktik buang air besar yang di tempat terbuka. Untuk Indonesia, target SDGs ini telah diterjemahkan ke dalam target rencana pembangunan jangka menengah nasional tahun 2020-2024, di mana pada tahun 2024 ini telah ditargetkan adanya peningkatan rumah tangga yang memiliki akses sanitasi layak menjadi 90%, termasuk di dalamnya 15% rumah tangga yang memiliki akses sanitasi aman. Selain itu, pemerintah Indonesia hadir dalam menyediakan layanan sanitasi bagi masyarakat sebagaimana diamanatkan dalam peraturan pemerintah nomor 2 tahun 2018 tentang standar pelayanan minimal, di mana setiap warga baik di wilayah perkotaan maupun pedesaan dengan kepadatan wilayah terbangun yang lebih dari 25 jiwa per hektar ini berhak mendapatkan pelayanan air limbah domestik dengan kualitas minimal akses aman. Dalam pencapaian target SDGs, RPJMN dan juga standar pelayanan minimal, Vehicle Slots Management ini menjadi salah satu tumpuan karena saat ini mayoritas Indonesia masih tergantung kepada pengelolaan air limbah domestik dengan sistem setempat, di mana baru sekitar 2% yang telah menggunakan sistem pengelolaan air limbah domestik yang terpusat atau sewage system. Hadirin yang saya banggakan, Vehicle Slots Management sangat penting untuk memastikan keberlanjutan satu siklus pengelolaan air limbah domestik dengan sistem setempat. Dimulai dari memastikan penggunaan tangki septik yang sesuai dengan standar teknis sampai dengan lumpur tinja, hasil pengolahan dari tangki septik yang disedot secara berkala dan juga diolah pada instalasi pengolahan lumpur tinja atau IPLT sehingga kondisinya sudah aman untuk dibuang ke lingkungan. Namun, dalam penyediaan infrastruktur untuk mendukung vehicle sludge management seperti penyediaan tangki septik, sarana penyedotan dan IPLT tidaklah mudah ya. Saat ini baru sejumlah 299 ya, kabupaten kota dari 514 kabupaten kota di Indonesia yang telah memiliki IPLT. Belum terpenuhinya kebutuhan IPLT di seluruh kabupaten kota. Ini disebabkan karena wilayah Indonesia yang secara geografis ini merupakan negara kepulauan, di mana terdapat area yang sulit dijangkau, serta adanya perbedaan tingkat komitmen dari pemerintah daerah pada tahap persiapan pengembangan infrastruktur. Ini akan menjadi suatu tantangan dalam melakukan penyediaan yang merata. Saya yakin untuk dapat menyediakan layanan pengelolaan lumpur tinja yang baik. Tantangan yang dihadapi tidak hanya penyediaan infrastruktur, namun juga tantangan untuk dapat memastikan keberlanjutan infrastruktur tersebut untuk dapat menyediakan keberlanjutan infrastruktur tersebut. Ini melalui kerangka peraturan yang memadai, menyiapkan institusi pengelola yang handal, ya, profesional dan juga inovatif, yang tentunya harus didukung dengan sumber daya manusia yang berkualitas, serta juga memastikan pendanaannya juga yang cukup. Melalui pengembangan berbagai alternatif sumber pendanaan, serta juga tidak lupa untuk meningkatkan keterlibatan masyarakat untuk menunjang kegiatan ini. Untuk menjawab tantangan tersebut, tentunya kita memerlukan kolaborasi dan juga peran aktif dari berbagai stakeholder yang ada pada level pemerintah, baik nasional, internasional, maupun unsur non-pemerintah lainnya, seperti misalnya badan usaha, akademisi, praktisi, ya, serta mitra pembangunan. Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian yang saya hormati, penyelenggaraan FSM6 ini dapat menjadi suatu wadah untuk bertukar informasi dan juga saling berbagi pengalaman terkait dengan pengelolaan lumpur tinja ya, antar berbagai stakeholder di berbagai negara. Informasi dan pengalaman tersebut ini kami harapkan dapat menjadi pembelajaran dan juga inspirasi yang nantinya dapat dikembangkan oleh para peserta untuk menjadi suatu ide atau inovasi yang baru ya, dalam mendukung penyelenggaraan sanitasi yang aman dan juga berkelanjutan sesuai dengan porsi dari masing-masing negara dan daerah, karena tidak akan ada satu solusi yang sama dan juga yang sama persis untuk seluruh negara. Hal ini dikarenakan karena penyelenggaraan sanitasi ini sangat dipengaruhi oleh kondisi sosial, ekonomi, dan juga budaya. Bahkan di satu negara yang sama pun akan terdapat perbedaan pendekatan dan solusi yang tepat antara satu kabupaten kota dan juga kabupaten kota yang lainnya. Hadirin yang saya hormati, dalam kesempatan ini saya mengapresiasi dan juga mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh pihak yang terlibat dalam penyelenggaraan FS6 ini. Ya. Agar kami berharap semoga FS6 ini dapat berjalan dengan baik, ya, dan lancar, dan juga tentunya dapat membangun kerjasama antar negara dan berbagai stakeholder dalam mencapai tujuan bersama untuk menyediakan akses sanitasi yang aman, yang merata bagi seluruh masyarakat, ya, khususnya bagi negara-negara yang masih bertumpu pada pengelolaan air limbah domestik dengan sistem setempat. Demikian yang bisa dapat kami sampaikan. Terima kasih dan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, I'm Konstantina Velkoshanova, the FSM6 Conference Chair. This year we have a special occasion to celebrate the FSM6 Conference. We are celebrating a milestone of a decade since the first FSM Conference held in 2011 in Durban, South Africa. It is an appropriate occasion to celebrate all the heroes of the FSM sector. Why, some of you may ask? I realize that there is a great recognition of professionals in the broader water and sanitation industry, but we often forget to acknowledge the work of the professionals who dedicate their lives to the FSM sector. According to the English dictionary, a hero is a person of distinguished courage or ability, admired for their brave deeds and noble qualities. A true hero is someone who does something heroic for the benefit of others, not primarily for their own benefit. And I believe that the FSM heroes truly fit into this definition. Even more, my modern interpretation of the term hero is actually closer to the superhero Marvel characters. I picture how some of you have the superpowers that allow you to jump from one project to another, handle multiple tasks, have long working hours, and travel to the most remote destinations. Yet, you manage to accomplish so much of an impact and never lose your motivation to make the world a better place. FSM heroes have many faces, come from different backgrounds, and make different contributions. But they all have one thing in common: their hard work, passion, and dedication that have contributed to the continuous growth and development of the FSM sector. The FSM heroes are the pit emptiers, performing their daily duties with pride and smile on their face. They are the professors dedicating their lives to the sector, influencing decision makers, continuously looking for answers and solutions, and inspiring the young generation of future FSM professionals. FSM heroes are the practitioners spending decades in the field trying to improve the existing systems and create sustainable solutions on the ground. FSM heroes are the advocates working towards policy implementation and change, and raising awareness on national and international levels. FSM heroes are the decision makers who often stand on the front line to drive implementation and changes in the governance and policies. FSM heroes are the young entrepreneurs and engineers who build new toilets and try locally to improve the sanitation service chain. FSM heroes are those that empower the often unseen heroes from the field, those that empower women and young professionals. FSM heroes are the brave women paving the way to gender equality in the FSM sector. FSM heroes are the young professionals that chose the discomfort of challenging field work to having a cozy position in another field. FSM heroes are those that have the courage to run NGOs and NPOs and who have the vision of solving FSM challenges through the empowerment of local communities. FSM heroes are the practitioners scientists, and professionals from all kinds of academic backgrounds who are driving the change through their daily work, bravery, and inspiration. Each one of you here today could be and is a hero, and without your great contribution, we would have not achieved so much in the FSM sector over the past 10 years. For this, I would like to say a big thank you to each and every one of you. The celebration and honoring of the FSM heroes is not new to the FSM conferences. In FSM 4 and 5, we highlighted the importance of making the hidden heroes and their voices more visible to support the continuous development of the FSM sector. This is why, this year, we chose to dedicate the theme to all FSM heroes of the past, present, and future. Not only this, but we have opened the podium to all voices from the sector, featuring over 75 speakers from low and middle income countries, and an even gender balance between all the conference speakers. For the first time this year, we introduced the FSM Heroes nominations. Each one of you could nominate as many of your FSM heroes as you wanted. The final announcement of the nominations were not based on the number of votes per person. Each person who was nominated will feature as an FSM hero during the FSM6 conference. Thank all of you who took the time to nominate your FSM heroes. Last, but certainly not least, this year we are honoring two special giant FSM heroes and their major contribution to the FSM sector, Professor Chris Buckley and Professor Ives Kenney, and we have a special tribute dedicated to them at the closing ceremony. Thank you. Enjoy the next video highlighting some of your nominations, and enjoy the FSM6 conference in the next few days.
This year at FSM6, we are celebrating FSM Heroes. Earlier this year, we opened up the floor by asking you who your FSM hero is, and this is what you said.
My FSM hero is a professor and researcher at the Federal University of Viçosa in Brazil. She works actively with patients in her research, education, and social development projects in the field of fecal sludge management. Thankfully, for her professional career, Professor Ana Augusta has inspired and still inspires a real generation of young sanitation professionals. Her contributions are changing many lives of underprivileged families in Brazil. So that's why she deserves to be recognized as a FSM hero, or even better, a FSM heroine.
Now, about Dr. Chertouré as my FSM hero. We are fortunate to benefit from his teachings as a student over 30 years ago, at a time when few were the knowing who believe in it because collective systems had occupied space. Since then, several of his students have joined the circle of experts and continue to promote this type of sanitation for the salvation of African countries. Achieving the SDGs and other goals as set out in Agenda 2063 goes through this path. This initiative and actions in the field are too consistent to the assets of Dr. Chertouré, who continues to guide the orientations of several decision makers. Finally, it is an absolute benchmark for the community and should not be an inexplored gold mine.
Ebenezer is a civil engineer and has been key in designing IDE Ghana's toilet system, which has provided safe toilets for thousands across Ghana. He is very passionate about FSM and applies his engineering expertise at designing various systems to resolve FSM challenges, like the Shitmaster. The Shitmaster is used to collect waste from the underserved and unreachable populations in Ghana. He is currently leading a team to improve the sanitation value chain across Ghana under the Sustainable FSM project.
Miriam is super passionate about FSM, a true motivator, and what makes her my true hero is that she always is enabling others, and in particular women, to become the FSM heroes of the future.
Mr. Damodaran is a very inspirational figure who has been running programs for total rural sanitation with empowerment of rural women. And this has been a success factor which can be seen in many programs initiated by his organization Gramalaya in India. I have great pleasure in nominating him as an FSM hero.
So apart from just streamlining or bringing on board or supporting the private sector through emptying, Dr. Najib is also brainchild behind the current functional call center. It came as a result of efficiency in service delivery. And during the COVID time, the call center was so helpful in a number of ways. Number one, handling the COVID emergency. It was a 24-hour running call center. Dr. Najib is a very honest man, very brilliant, good at project proposals, implementation, and writings. Humble, free man, and above all is very respectful, irrespective of one's qualifications, one's occupation, one's gender, and most importantly, irrespective of one's status. He gives respect to all. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Mr. Ravi Pandey has been instrumental in drafting and operationalizing the septage management protocol in the Indian state of Uttarakhand. He continues to play a big role in strategizing effective fecal sludge and septage management in the state and has played a key role in capacity building efforts for FSSM in Uttarakhand.
Over the past decade, Steve has continued to impact how I view and act on FSM solutions. In short, here's what I've learned from Steve. Solutions that seem logical in theory do not always react the same way in actual implementation. Always be curious about what the reality of a situation is and adapt solutions to reality.
I had the privilege to work with Fatou from 2016 to 19 while she was representing Border West Africa as regional director. She then transitioned to the African Water Association as director for membership services. When joining Border, we found out that we actually had been to the same high school in Berlin, Germany for a number of years. Fatou was part of the team and process helping to shape the FSM Alliance since 2017. She was an inspired woman, full of energy, easily facilitating dialogue and action between East and West, North and South, business sector and civil society from a local to global level. She'll be pleased to see we are coming together to strengthen our efforts towards a world where all people everywhere enjoy equitable access to safely managed sanitation services. Thank you, Fatou, for your passion.
We celebrate you today, FSM Hero. You set the example. You raise the bar. You are doing the work. You help us see things and think about things that we didn't before. Thank you for your dedication, passion, and excellence in your work to see people around the world have access to decent sanitation services. We are truly grateful for you today.
On behalf of myself and my colleague Mei Chen, the FSMA staff, and the FSM6 Conference Committee, we extend our appreciation and thanks to the Honorable Anias Baswedan, Jennifer, Tina, and all of our FSM heroes. There is a full day of programming available for you today. We hope you find it uplifting and engaging. We will be back tomorrow with our first programmatic plenary session. See you out there.